Breaking down this fight. Some I agree with, some that I don't. I'm not gonna make any strong predictions, but what I will say is, if I had to pick a fight, pick who's gonna win this fight, I'm leaning more towards Crawford. Canelo is one of the greatest fighters ever, in my opinion. Um, Canelo he's great with his footwork. He has decent to top end hand speed. His fluidity for his defense. He catches a lot of punches and shoots a lot of punches. Most of his defense comes from his movement from his waist up. And when I say he's great with his footwork, I'm not saying he uses his feet a lot. I'm saying he's able to use angles to cut off the ring. And Canelo doesn't apply pressure with his hands as far as volume of punches. He applies pressure somewhat like a Tank Davis, where he's just constantly there, just close enough to you so you feel like you have to defend yourself or let punches go. And over time, they'll break you down psychologically and aerobically. That way, you'll just get tired of constantly moving. Now, Bud Crawford, on the other hand, Bud Crawford is what I call an intelligent fighter who relies a lot on timing and counterpunching also. So I've heard a couple of people say it's a counterpuncher versus counterpuncher, and that is true. Bud also he's able to gauge your range in two different styles. We all know that. So he can go either southpaw or he can go conventional. Now, in doing so, you can download your timing on him and you can see things that may open up against Bud. But the problem is, once he switches his stance, you have to recalculate. And that's how he normally beats people. He'll get you to get comfortable with him in one stance, and then he'll switch it. And now he has your range because he can judge from either stance. Another thing that Bud Crawford does, like I said, Canelo is great at cutting off the ring, but Bud Crawford is also able to move lateral, right or left, and he's able to pivot out of positions because he's so comfortable punching from the southpaw and he's so comfortable punching from the orthodox stance. So he can turn a corner either way from either one of those stances, which is going to make it hard for Canelo to just cut the ring off like he do against everybody else. Now I see a way for Canelo to win this fight. The problem with that is he's going, in doing so, which I mean crowding Bud, he's going to have to be stronger than Bud, which I'm not sure he is. People saying he is, but Bud is very strong. So he would have to crowd Bud and rough Bud up. Problem with that is, if he's not stronger than Bud or strong enough to keep Bud trapped in a corner or trapped on the ropes, it's going to be a long night for Canelo. A lot of people saying he just need to hit Bud anywhere. That may be true, but Bud ain't going to just stay there and let him hit him anywhere. He's also one of the great counter punchers in his own right. So, and Canelo knows that. So Canelo ain't going to just go in there and just let off on him on the ropes. Canelo is also one that picks his shots. He's not just going to go in there and just let all his punches go at one time. That's like we say casuals talking. He's not going to do that. It's not going to look like how De La Hoya had Mayweather on the ropes and just wailing punches. Nah, it's not going to look like that. Because if he does take that approach, one, he's going to get tired. And we know Canelo always had conditioning problems. This is why he changed his style. Because Canelo used to let his hands go quite often. And then around the 6th and 7th round, he would get tired. So he stopped doing that. Then he went to a more methodical style where I'm constantly pressuring you, but I'm not pressuring you with volume of punches. I'm pressuring you with ring generalship. So I'm going to burn you out mentally and physically by just being that presence, and I'm going to throw shots that matter and matter only. With that being said, you do that against a person like Bud, that's going to give him time to gauge range, gauge speed. Also, is going to let him know how fast you can move left or right. Disclaimer, I can be wrong. I picked Errol to beat Bud, with the caveat as, can Errol hurt Bud early, and can he avoid being caught in between shots? I say that's how Bud gonna beat him, because Bud gonna be able to time him if Bud can beat him. But I'm not sure. I wasn't sure if that was a possibility. I say Errol is very everybody know the way Errol Spence fights, and this is about Canelo and Bud, but he's very mechanical with his fights, with his style of fighting. Bud is more athletic in the sense of fast twitch and getting in and out of spaces. So that's what we saw in the Errol fight, and I'm just saying that just to say I can be wrong in my analysis. I'm not a know-it-all. However, this is some of the things that I see when I watch these fighters fight. I like to break it down. I like to look at what they're good at and what they're not good at. So with Canelo, his best chance of winning is to use that systematic pressure and try to catch Bud while Bud is throwing to hurt Bud. Bud IQ is not going to allow him to be broken by that type of pressure. What I noticed that Mayweather and Bivol did to counteract that pressure was a constant reset with a jab. And that is Bud's key to victory. A strong jab and being able to escape out the front or the back door, being as how he's so comfortable coming from the orthodox and the southpaw type of stance. So he's comfortable moving left or right. It doesn't matter. So he can gauge your range faster than you can gauge his range. And also, he's a great counterpuncher. And if everybody worrying about him running, he's not going to run. Escaping and running is two different things. He doesn't need constant movement, because more than likely he's going to gauge Canelo range. However, Canelo is going to have to apply fast, consistent pressure from the start of the fight. A lot of people say Canelo start off slow, and he does, because like I say, he's like kind of sort of like how Gervonta Davis does it. They use intelligent pressure, use their footwork to stay constantly on top of you to make you feel like you have to work more than what you should be working. And that's why I think it's not going to work against Bud, because Bud is also intelligent, and also Bud is a master engaging range. Can Bud get clipped? Yes. That's because he takes chances. He takes chances. He can make every fight boring, but he takes a lot of chances. Bud is a dog. He's going to want to fight. Also, I just want to put this out there. I've only picked against Canelo Alvarez once since I've been predicting these fights. And that was the only time I picked Canelo to lose was against Floyd Mayweather. I even picked him to beat Bivol. I picked him to beat Triple G. Like all three times. Even though some people say he lost the first two, I still pick Canelo to win those fights. This fight here, I'm actually picking against Canelo for the second time since I've been watching Canelo Alvarez fight. And I think it's just because of the style. I think people making too much of the size. I don't think Canelo is going to be stronger. And what a lot of people got to realize is every time we say Bud Crawford is going to come in and fight as the smaller man, on fight night, he's always the bigger man. And I don't see how people are not noticing that. What I will say is it was a close size comparison with him and Madrimov this last fight. He wasn't bigger than Madrimov. So him going up to 168, I don't see him being bigger than Canelo, but I don't think Canelo is going to dwarf him by no stretch of the imagination. In fact, if you go by tail of the tape, that's my son, y'all. Tail of the tape would tell you that Crawford has longer arms than Canelo. And he's like a half an inch taller. To wrap this up in a nutshell, Canelo got to do what he do and apply pressure, but he has to hurt Bud early. He has to hurt Bud in a way to make Bud react, because we know Bud is a dog. So he gotta catch Bud with something to turn into a dog fight and try to counter Bud in between Bud counters. What Bud has to do is be Bud.
Daddy!
Use his footwork, use his angles, use his speed, because I think he is faster than Canelo, and use his IQ and catch Canelo in between shots. I told a couple of friends of mine he's going to cut Canelo up. I don't see him knocking him out, but he's going to cut him up. And then I heard Bomag let some slip out on one of the train. He said, we're going to cut him up. I was like, I could see that happening. Bud does have a tendency to swell up, but I don't think Bud is going to sit there long enough. And if he does, that's Canelo's path to victory. But in order for Canelo to take that path to victory, Canelo is going to have to do something that he did back in the day, that caused him to be tired, which is let his hands go. But not in a wild way. Just every time he does trap Bud, he's going to have to throw a lot just to stay up on points and hopefully hurt him to get Bud to start trading with him. If he can't do that by applying pressure and letting his hand go, if he can't do that, he's going to get beat on points. And more than likely, if he takes that approach of letting his hands go to try to hurt Bud, he's going to get tired in a 6, 7, 8 round, because that means he's not going to fight like he's been fighting these last couple of years with just systematic foot pressure. He's not going to fight that way. That means he's letting his hands go more often. That means he's going to get tired. That means at the later rounds, Bud is going to start picking him apart and literally cutting him up. Like Roy Jones say, Bud has 6 ways of winning. Canelo has 1. And that's the one he's talking about. Pressure, but letting his hands go more like old Canelo and hoping to hurt Bud. If he fights like new Canelo, that's just going to use his foot pressure and try to time a shot, it's going to be bad for him. So504 Boxing Breakdown. You heard it here first. Come back to these comments and let me know what y'all think, especially after the fight. I'm out.